PTF and JK back with you. Special coverage of Del Mar opening day on the In the Money YouTube channel. You know what? We'll probably pop the audio of this up as a podcast as well. So you might be listening to it on the podcast side. We appreciate everybody who subscribes to us over at the In the Money Media YouTube channel and wherever you get your pods for the In the Money Players podcast. JK, Del Mar opening day, one of the events of the season in Southern California. Looking forward to covering this one on television. We're going to talk about the last 6 races on this card, and we start off with an interesting maiden special weight where I know you had a thought.
Well, I'll tell you what makes me sad when you said Del Mar opening day. There's a possibility that I'll never get to go again.
I somehow doubt that. You'll. I know the racing calendars change. Like things happen where even if you keep your role on the television across the country, I'm certain you'll get out there to this great event that I'm lucky enough to be in town for this year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens next year. The calendar's actually really weird. I don't know if you've looked at it. The calendar's weird next year. So something weird could happen. I don't know. I have no insight. I'm just saying especially with how racing is here with Belmont and all, because there's a gap because we've started as late as possible this year. We'll start as early as possible next year. Maybe it's vice versa. I don't know the math, but it's a weird thing. So maybe there's a chance.
One of the features here on the show. Tell us about this pick 6.
Yeah, I would single the 2 Lannister. This is a $400,000, not this time. You know, it's for the Avengers group, right? The SFs, the Starlights, the Madiket, that whole group. And it's a horse that worked with gaming back in the day, which I thought was very interesting, and has been working with Goal Oriented a little bit now. We'll see what Goal Oriented does in the Monmouth, in the Haskell at Monmouth.
Separate video. We're going to have a whole separate video on that. Make sure, again, this is why you subscribe so you don't miss any of our YouTube exclusive content.
I think this is a singleable horse. Single A, maybe backup B with the 4 Vasa.
Yeah, 1 and 4 possible backups, but I had clocked that Lannister had worked in company with Barnes. $400,000, not this time. Just seems obvious for Baffert to kick us off. I have nothing clever to add beyond that. Let's pivot to the 6th race on this Friday card. We've got an allowance race on the turf. Who do you like in here?
In this race, I am a spread here. I thought this was wide open. You know, a lot of these races can get a little bit tricky. 4, 5, 9, 11, 12. 4, 5, 9, 11, 12. The first one I'll start with is the 4 Genius Jimmy. Let's just talk about Del Mar's turf course as a whole. I love tactically drawn inside horses at Del Mar. We've heard it be described as like kind of like a paper clip, very tight turns at Del Mar. So I think when you can tuck in on the inside, save ground, I think it goes a long way with helping you work out a pretty nice trip. So for me, Genius Jimmy would be one that I want to definitely have in the mix. But the other ones, he didn't stand out enough to not include the other ones. The one that I will mention is the 9, Cathal. I guess is what we're calling that, Cathal.
Cahal, if they're doing it the Irish way, but it could be Cathal too. It's probably
okay. I don't know how to do it the Irish way. Closing well into a slow pace last time. You know, I love that slow figure, slow paced race closing into it. There's some hidden value there. So I want to use that one as well.
I also had Genius Jimmy as the top pick, just looking like the main speed in a race without a ton of it, in addition to the other stuff you said. I listed 2 that I wanted as Bs. One was the 5. We'll go with Cahal. And I did want to put out just a quick little shout for the 1 City Exile. I think that's the horse's name. Has a bunch of recent races right at the buyer par for the level. Doesn't look that fast compared to this group. It's probably a little bit better than average group for the level. But if I can get a price on a horse that has a bunch of recent races that fit, that's one that I don't mind throwing in. 1 and 5 on the back line for me. 4 on the top line as we pivot to race number 7, where we've got the 2-year-old Calbred maiden special weights. I like number 4, Mustang Nicky best. The Dam and one of the 2 siblings won on debut. Knicks go off to a solid start with first-time starters. And then number 8, Cara Rose, I thought was interesting on the potential experience edge. Ran the par buyer number on turf last time. Caught money in both starts. 4 and 8 for me. What numbers were of interest to you?
Yeah, we're on. I just got switched. We're on race 7, right?
We're on race 7.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. My iPad, if you hit the wrong side, it like scrolls on you, and it's just a real disaster. And when you have Wednesday, when you have pulled up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of Saratoga, Friday and Saturday of Del Mar, sometimes you're.
There's a lot of forms swimming in our heads now, people. But we do have it straight. I promise.
The one that I thought was interesting in here was I'm hoping this horse gets in off the AEs, which is the 12 Tammy Baby. In this day and age with Heisa and you can hope and cross your fingers that maybe someone will come out and you can get in. If this horse gets in, I don't think this is like a singleable type, but one that I definitely like quite a bit. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned the 12. 3, 5, 6, 8, 12 is what I put. Obviously, that will change. 3, 5, 6, 8, 12. That'll change a little bit. I'm always going to have Peter Miller. I find there'll be a lot of value on Peter Miller horses first time starters because it's such a clocker report heavy community that when you see a situation where a horse a horse they don't see them work those
Right.
horses, and I think sometimes there could be value on them. But Peter Miller obviously wins first time out, 14% with first time starters. So I'd like to have that one. The 8 Carl Rose is another one that I thought was one that I wanted to have. You go back to the dirt race, was extremely wide in that debut, and I thought could take a step forward off of that. So the 3 also had very fast pace figures in the last race. When I'm looking at these young babies, especially going 5 furlongs, if you can get me to the front early in a race, you give me a lot of confidence. So 3, 5, 6, 8, 12. Hopefully the 12 draws in.
I'll put the 12 as a top pick for you in this scenario, or is there really
Yeah, you could put. I mean, it's kind of annoying putting an AE as a top pick, but yeah, you could
people will
pop.
forgive you. They'll forgive you this time anyway.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this new wager, JK, that we have in race number 8. This is the start of the late pick 3 special wager with a $3 minimum, 15% takeout. This is a place where I can see myself putting a bunch of my money throughout this Del Mar meet. I love these player-friendly terms. And it's going to be the last 3 races every day. And today we start off with the traditional opening day feature of the Oceanside. For me, I saw little reason to oppose Ironman Cal, who I think is going to get a great setup in this spot for the closing kick. We're going to have, if you're listening on the audio side to this, special little interview with one of the partners involved in Ironman Cal, Andrew Brown. He'll give you some Del Mar lifestyle stuff as well if you listen to that over at the pod side. Figure improvement for age, class of the field. I was stone cold to Ironman Cal. Am I making it too simple?
No, I'm stone cold too, and you saw what Zulu Kingdom came back and did. You saw what Test Score came back and did. Right, there's 2 big winners out of that race, so that 6 beating 4 doesn't feel so yucky.
Right.
Also, that horse came in off a super long layoff,
On
and
turf, too soft.
yeah, and the turf was soft. There's like every excuse that could possibly happen. Iron Man Cal had ice cold single hair.
Race number 9 is a dirt allowance race going 6 furlongs. I struggled with this one. I thought it was a possible pace spoilover, but then I get nervous at Del Mar, JK, when I end up with a bunch of closers at the top of my ticket. Ended up going with 4. The GM just looks best on numbers. So I thought, maybe can manage things and just go on with it here. But I did want to put in a couple of closers. One of them Goofy, the Goofy one being number 2, Pass the Baton. This horse might not be fast enough at all. But if they go crazy up front, I could see this one sticking on late and maybe getting a piece as a longtime router, now sprinting. Probably more for verticals, but I'll put for a penny on top. And the 5 Minister Shane, I thought would get a great situation here. Has some races fast enough. The layoff is a concern. But I did think that choosing Del Mar opening day for the comeback spot was a signal of real intent. Could also be a signal that the owners want the box. But I'm hoping it's a signal of real intent. 4-2-5 for me. How do you see it?
I'm going to go 5, 8, 10. You talk about Del Mar and when it comes to speed, that outside stalking trip does really well. I mean, it does well everywhere on the dirt, right? But I think of some places specifically it does well. Oaklawn, Del Mar. And I like that trip. So when you have a horse who has some tactical speed drawn towards the outside, even if it feels like it's a little bit too gassy in that race, I'm fine using those horses. So the 8 and the 10, I wanted to get really aggressive with the 8, but as I continued to kind of look through it, I went 8, 10. The 8 will be my top pick. And then I'll use the 5, Minister Shane, that you had talked about as one that can kind of pick up the pieces.
All right, I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's get to our nightcap where we pay off all these late picks. We've got a turf, maiden, going a mile. How are we going to get paid?
Yeah, to get wrapped this thing up, I have just one horse.
Really?
I do. You want to guess which one it is?
I hope it's not Nafisa. This isn't a horse you should be singling.
It is not Nafisa. You think I'm going to single a Bob Baffert horse on the turf?
There was a lot of reasons why I didn't think you would, but then I just got nervous because I do think that horse probably
it's really the meanest thing you've ever said to me.
To your
No,
face, anyway.
the 6, Lady Chic. I look, this is a Tappet. So the Tappet likes to win the Belmont Stakes. The Belmont Stakes is usually at a mile and a half. These horses want to go further. John Sadler's kind of got, look, if you look at John Sadler, he debuted this horse going 8 furlongs on the dirt. I mean, he debuted the horse doing that. So if you debut the horse going 8, you obviously are not thinking stamina is a problem. Now you take some time off, you come back with a turf sprint to set you up for a turf route. You clearly think he's a router. I'm going to single 6.
But yes, Lady Chic, makes tons of sense off that.
I do that. You know what happens to me? I got called on the show, like in my ear about it. She. And then like one time Greg Wolf wrote she and showed it to me. It's because when
You
I'm
never make that
talking,
mistake on our airwaves, so that confuses
I
me.
struggle sometimes when I mention a trainer that is he.
Yeah.
I struggle with my brain flipping back to she when I'm talking about the situation. It happens sometimes.
I might have let it slip if the filly's name wasn't Lady Chic. It just seemed like begging to be called
Good
out.
call. Good call. Good call.
He is among my top picks here too, but I also like the 3 Unbinding, and this is just one where watching back that race just ran like she was crying out for more ground, gets it here relatively unexposed. I'm not going to use Nafisa. I think she makes the market for a runner like 3 Unbinding, 6 Lady Chic. And then another one I just kept coming back to was the 8 runner in this spot, American Privilege. Another one I just feel like is going to be better off going longer. Will she be ready off the long layoffs for John Sheriffs, who in your JK+1 interview talked about letting horses train themselves? Probably not, but I don't want to get beat by this horse. American Privilege is a B, 3 and 6 for A's, and that closes out our thoughts on opening day at Del Mar, unless you have something else to tell the people.
I'm good.
Good stuff. Let us know what you think in the comments. What did we get right? What did we get wrong? What's your best bet on Del Mar opening day? Be fun to get a conversation going in there. We're going to be back with coverage of Del Mar on Saturday, as well as our special Haskell video. Come back and join us on the In the Money Media YouTube channel.